morning. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Andrew Fossa. I'm the Emergency Management Director for Pasco County. I would like to discuss the storm that's coming to us. This storm is going to be a catastrophic storm. We haven't seen a storm like this in a lifetime. The earliest one that we've seen was back in 1921, and none of us were around then. But I can't stress enough, the county can't stress enough, that if you're by the coastline and you live in an evacuation zone, you guys need to evacuate. There's no time. We're running out of time. If you're still in your house, please, by all means, evacuate. Go tens of miles, not hundreds of miles. Family and friends, try to find a hotel. But please do not stay in your houses. This storm is very complicated. We're not only dealing with the storm from Helene, but we're also dealing with that debris. And with that debris, when that surge comes in, it's going to complicate it for rescuers. So please evacuate. If you live in evacuation zones A, B, or C, or a mobile home or in a low-lying area, please leave now. Don't wait. It might be too late. Those areas are under a mandatory investigation. Evacuation, sorry. We also have hurricane warnings and storm surge warnings, and these conditions are just hours away. So please heed the warning and evacuate. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our county administrator.
Good morning, Mike Karbala, County Administrator. As Andy had mentioned, we have not even recovered yet from the surge that Hurricane Helene brought to our coast, and Milton is actually expected to be much, much worse. So just remember, as Andy said, you need to run from the water and hide from the wind, and that means leaving your home. So again, we will reiterate this. If you live in evacuation zone A, B, or C, you need to leave. The time to leave is now. If you're in a mobile home, you also need to leave. It's never, ever safe to ride out a hurricane in a mobile home, no matter where it is. We've seen the wind field of this storm coming forward. Even if it is not a direct hit to Pasco County, we will experience hurricane-force sustained winds as well as gusts. If you don't know your evacuation zone, I encourage you to go visit mypasco.net and click on Know Your Zone. Enter your address, and it'll come up with which zone that you're in. At this, I'd like to ask our chairman of the board, Ronald Oakley, here to say a few things.
My name is Ron Oakley. I'm the chairman of the Board of County Commission. The fact of it is there's thousands of people out here working to keep you safe and informed about this storm. The board supports our leadership and our staff in all that they're doing. The fact of it is we have shelters open and they're all fully staffed, ready to go. We also have a list of those shelters on our website. If you'll go there, you can find a shelter that is near you. But please don't wait to move and evacuate. It's very important. Your safety is first in our minds. So the fact of it is we also are giving free rides to people this time, as long as we can, up to the time of the storm. And when it gets too bad, we'll have to stop that. But move now. Don't wait till tomorrow. Move now and move out of harm's way. This time I'll turn it over to the Sheriff of Pasco County.
Speak for the
Okay.
guys, yeah. Yeah, I just want to say a couple of things on behalf of our fire rescue team. They're actually out there right now, with bullhorns, trying to, again, reach the maximum population that we can. And, again, in the next few hours, the weather is going to get significantly worse. We are expecting conditions to deteriorate. And if you decide to stay, when the water rises and the winds pick up, we will not be able to rescue you. That is a simple fact. And I will tell you that winds complicate things, and the debris left over from Helene make it completely unsafe for our first responders to get in there and rescue you. As much as they want to help, you have to get out, please, for your sake, for the sake of our first responders, and do those things. I would also say, if you're leaving your house on your way out the door, flip off your main breaker. Again, we have seen plenty of issues related to power, storm surge, and salt water. So let's not lose everything. Let's not lose in a flood and then lose everything to a fire. So with that, I'd ask Sheriff Nacco here to say a few words.
Appreciate it. Chris Nacco, Pasco Sheriff. So first and foremost, as always, glorify God, our Lord Jesus Christ, in the good times and the bad times, and we ask during his bad times that he helps us go through this safely. Message out there, everybody, we're all in this together. There's nobody different than anybody else. We're all facing the same storm. We're all going through this. And, we have that saying in the Pasco Sheriff's Office, we fight as one. That's on the side of our vehicles. That's out there. So people recognize, but that we is our entire community. We're in this together. And so there's a message, and part of that we, what we're going to talk about, a couple things, but one is this message right now. If you have a loved one, you have a friend that may not be watching this, but you're watching this, please reach out to them. Share this information. There's people out there who are still trying to clean up, do things. Please tell them, listen to this message, evacuate right now, because that's what's going to save their lives. Property is one thing, but their lives are more important. A couple things on that. Our evacuation. So I'll tell you, as we went through this past storm with Helene, we noticed people stayed behind because of pets. All the shelters are pet friendly. So please leave now. We'll take your pets. The school board does a great job. They will have your pets. If you're responsible for children, somebody who's sick, who needs care, go get a shelter. Go right now. Evacuate. Don't do it for yourself. Do it for them. Do it for your loved ones. If you have people that are telling you, please evacuate, do it for them. They care about you. So please evacuate right now. The other one, too, is part of that evacuation, what Mr. Carvalho talked about, that debris out there. So usually with our patrols, we look about 40 sustained winds. And so with those wind gusts right now, what we're concerned about as time goes forward is the debris. So for first responders, it's going to be an issue just responding for calls for service out there. So with that debris out there now, and I know the county's done a phenomenal job trying to do everything they can, but time was against us. So we're doing everything we can to go out there. But at the same time, as that debris gets wild out there, that's going to be an issue on first responders. Just respond to normal calls for service. And so I go back to the other part. Please tell your loved ones where you are. Tell them right now. Tell them where you're going. Tell them where you'll be. Because the big thing for us is we don't want to be overloaded with welfare checks. So welfare checks are usually somebody from out of state, out of the area, who says, I can't get a hold of my loved one. I don't know where they are. Can you check on them? So we're asking about right now, tell your loved ones where you are, where you'll be, and how long you'll be there. Because that will allow us to go handle the regular things that we're doing, preparing for the storm. The other one, too, is crime has not stopped since this is going on. We're still dealing with shootings. Yesterday, we were holding about 25, 30 calls just early in the afternoon. So the calls are still holding. We arrested yesterday an illegal immigrant for sexual assault. These things are still happening out there that we have to handle from a law enforcement perspective. So we're asking people, please, if you can evacuate, evacuate. We got a very tough job for law enforcement. The other thing, too, is once you evacuate and you've done the right thing, stay where you are for a while. Don't automatically, as the storm has gone, passed through, that you decide you're going to get in your car and you're going to drive right back. All you're going to do is hinder those that are trying to make the community and improve the community at that moment. So whether it's search and rescue, if God forbid people don't heed our warning, us with fire rescue and our other agencies are going to be out there trying to save people. If you go out there and you're trying to get back, all you're doing is getting in the way. You're reducing us from being able to save people. The next thing is we know people want their power turned on. If you go back right away, all you're doing is reducing the fact that the electric companies with Akuchi, Duke, Tico, they're trying to get the power back on. All you're doing is getting right in the way. The other one, too, is gas. We know everybody right now is trying to find gas. We need to get those trucks in here, so we're going to try to get the supply chains open up so we get gas. So when you come back, your standard of living is there where you can go in there, you'll be safe because we'll have patrols out there. You're going to have gas, you're going to have power, you're going to have Wi-Fi, you're going to have the things that you're going to need, because if you go right back in there, all you're doing is getting in the way. And I promise you, we'll have patrols out there protecting property, but at the same time is we need to get the supply chains back open again. The one thing I want to go reiterate too is I spoke to Sheriff Gualtieri this morning of Pinellas County. And we have a great relationship with our sheriffs across the Tampa Bay. We've been communicating with each other. But let me say something that is very specific. So talking to Sheriff Gualtieri this morning, he said there is a possibility that Pinellas County does not reopen. So that's a peninsula. Just look on the map, you'll see the peninsula. If they close the bridges down, they close down the northern border. That northern border for us is Holiday and Trinity area. So all that's going to do is cause major congestion, people sitting there for hours. So again, this is from Sheriff Gualtieri. I told him we're going to reiterate this message. He wanted me to. So this is why it's important to watch the news, to go on social media, whether it's the Pasco County EOC, Pinellas EOC, whatever EOC, get the information before you decide to get in your car and leave. because all you're going to do is cause congestion. All you're going to do is sit in a parking lot, and you're going to be very frustrated there. So please listen, heed the warnings, get your information, because I'll tell you, go back to the very start. We're all in this together. It's in God's hands. He will protect us. At the same time, He gave us wisdom to utilize it to the best of our ability. God bless you, and thank you very much.
I'd like to reiterate something that the sheriff was saying. The traffic already, 19, the Suncoast Parkway, 75, they're literally becoming parking lots. People are heeding the warning to a certain point, but we get flow from Pinellas and Hillsborough County northward into Pasco County. So if you're going to evacuate, you need to do it now. Traffic's almost at a standstill in some areas, and those folks, God forbid, are not going to have a place to shelter. We got to remember, we haven't seen a storm like this in 100 years. We might not be in the eye of it, but we are definitely going to get the winds, the rain, the surge. We are going to get damage. I hate to say it like this, Pasco County is going to get a black eye from this one. So we need our citizens to be proactive, heed the warning. If you live in zone A, B, or C, it is a mandatory evacuation. Please leave now. The citizens that rode out Helene that are still refusing to leave, I ask you, please leave. This is not a game. This is going to be your life. Also, follow us on our social media platforms. We're constantly message. Get the Alert Pasco app. That's a great app to have. That's constantly updated. We use Everbridge. We hear people saying, why you keep blowing us up with the messages? We're trying to save your lives. Get out when you can. And if you have any questions, you can call our customer service at 727-847-2411. And with that being said, we'll entertain any questions that you might have.
Since you just mentioned it, on the evacuations, all the traffic and stuff, I know a lot of people obviously are worried about gas, they're worried about traffic getting out of there. If somebody's sitting there wondering if they made the right decision to leave, what's your message to them?
If they've already left, stay where you're at. Do not return. Let the storm pass, as the sheriff said. Let him get patrols in place. Let some of the debris, because we're going to have debris all over the county and the roads. Stay put and pay attention to the social media that's going out from the county.
And if people can still leave and they see that traffic, should that deter them from leaving?
No, I think you should still pull the trigger and leave. I think there still is time. I will tell you by tomorrow evening, we're going to start seeing some of these bands come through, and we're really going to start seeing the winds. So now, if you're getting that stuck in that place and you got a shelter in place, like the sheriff said, phone a friend, phone your family, let them know where you're at. That way, at least we have a way to identify and know where people are still in places.
And let me add something to that.
Sure.
Mike Carballa again. I would say too that if traffic is deterring you, remember we have shelters all over the county, including I believe 2 that are right here near the coast, River Ridge High School.
Yep.
And
5A.
and 5A High School. Those shelters are very, very close. So if you're in an evacuation zone, it's right around the corner. Yeah, maybe it'll take you 30 minutes in what would normally be a 10-minute drive, but don't let that traffic deter you. Get out. We've got safety.
Mike, I just left US 19 and the coast, and there is no traffic backup on 19.
Good. So
It is moving just fine.
good. So currently things are flowing out there, which is great on US 19. Fantastic.
We have some people on social media asking about rides. Could we please reiterate the free rides to the shelters?
Yeah, certainly. Our Go Pasco team with our buses are currently offering free rides to the shelters. You can either call. Really, the best thing to do is call our customer service line 727-847-2411. If you lost your car during Helene, right, or if you just have the inability to do it, that's what we're there for. Please don't take advantage of the service unless you really need it, because there's plenty of others that do need it. But we are offering that that service out there. So call that customer service line 727-847-2411, and they can get you into the right with the right folks.
On debris cleanup, I know you talked yesterday. For anybody who, I guess a couple questions here. Can you put a number on how much debris has been picked up, how much is left to go? Second part, is it possible to get all of it? And if not, reminder again for what people can do to help.
Thank you. So the question was related to debris, right? How much of it have we picked up? How much of it is out there? I will tell you, I don't have good numbers on how much we have picked up. We've done some creative things with working with contractors to really assist us, and we've really kind of opened our gates, literally to allow folks to bring things to our facilities. I will tell you this: when Helene ended, our estimate was 3 months worth of debris, hundreds of thousands of yards. We will not get that up in 3 days. Okay, so we have been through neighborhoods, and it looks like we weren't even there. And we will continue to do that because we know that every yard could be someone's property, could be somebody's life. Again, I will make the plea that if you have the ability to secure your debris or take some of the more effective missiles, I guess, out and have a place to save it, please do that. Please, please, please do that. We're not going to get out there. We will operate as long as we can, and we'll continue to do so. But debris is a particularly unique hazard with this particular storm.
Can I add something as far as the debris? Jack Myra, Commissioner from District 5. We've been working with the haulers back and forth, and we have had a great group of haulers out there just picking up trash all over the place, working 24/7. Their request is if you do evacuate, you make it easier for them to pick up the trash in your neighborhoods. So it's important to do it. Last night alone, they picked up over 400,000 tons of garbage and put it in. They're going to keep on working through the night. We're going to be shutting off the landfill for citizens at 5 o'clock, but we're going to keep the other one going at a skeleton crew just for the citizens drop-off area, all the way to pick as much trash up as we can because we know how important it is. So please get out and move. Please evacuate. This storm surge is going to be very, very dangerous.
I just left Gulf Harbors and Gulf Woodlands, and I can say that there are still cars there. We do want you to evacuate. I passed 3 sheriff's deputy cars. They are surveilling your property. Do not be worried. The sheriff has this handled, and they have eyes on your property. Do not be afraid to leave it for vandals. It's more important that you get out, but they are making their rounds in the neighborhoods. Thank you.
One last question, sorry, for the sheriff. We're looking at another landfall strongest impacts at night. We just went through this. You said 2 weeks ago, history repeats itself. You guys were doing some very serious rescues. Can you just kind of speak on all of that one more time?
Yeah, so, the question is about history repeating itself, which we hope it didn't repeat itself this quickly and did this severely. And so right now we're working, again, with Pasco Fire Rescue. The team has been phenomenal. Our partnerships is incredible. So we're working with them. The National Guard is in place. Already reached out to several sheriff's offices through the Florida Sheriff Association, through the state of Florida, coordinating to bring in more units. So several things that are going on that we have plans in place. One is we're already prepping out for the next 24, 48, 72 hours and then forward for what search and rescue looks like, what looks like for our, for law enforcement and fire rescue to go back in there to make sure. The big thing for us is comms, making sure we have communications. So we have Starlink set up at different locations. We'll be setting up in different locations along the impacted area. The one thing too also is that we understand, and everybody gets it out there, the stress of this is even more so because you can't predict where the storm's going. We don't know where it's going further south, further north. The impact on the west side for us on the Gulf with the flooding, which we're predicting. But the other thing too is it can't be forgotten that this thing could go through the east side of our county. If it goes through the east side of county, we know there's going to be a lot of debris out there, a lot of cut teams, which cut teams is referring to clearing the roadways. So I said we have a lot of people that we're working with right now. There's certain volunteer groups that come from the special operations community that have retired, that have reached out to us that we're working with directly. And so we're very thankful for that. The one specifically is the Pineapple Express with Scott Mann. And so their crews were up in North Carolina. They've already reached out. We're working directly with them to bring them down here. But we understand from that aspect, which is a great question, history repeats itself. If history repeats itself and you got flooded, get out. History repeats itself. There's a strong possibility that this storm is going to be even stronger than before. Get out now. Evacuate now. For us going in there, it's going to be search and rescue, finding people, which we hope we don't have to search and rescue. We hope our biggest mission is clearing the roads, getting the supplies up, letting the power companies in there, letting the gas supply in there, allowing Costco, Sam's Club, Publix to be up and operating so people can get their lives back to normal as quick as possible. But I tell you, Pasco Fire Rescue, those guys do a hell of a job with us. Our deputies and our families, I thank them all at the bottom of my heart because what they're coming up with now, the plans in place are phenomenal. For National Guard, thank you very much. For all the sheriffs that will be coming in here, thank you. But, you know, we are coming up with unique ways, and we just keep getting on, you know, we see these over and over again. We see history happen. We learn from the past, and we keep getting better in what we do. Appreciate it. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
You're sweating like no
Sorry for all the questions.